In a recent video, I mentioned the Mars transit spanning from this second week of July until about the 18th or so, and that it is quite difficult for Trump since it will be moving through his problematic T-square composed of Neptune, Mercury, and Eris. One possibility could be the military bounty scandal resurfacing or scaling upward. But another that I forgot to mention is unfavorable publications from his ninth house. For example, books he doesn't like that tell stories he'd rather keep secret. Enter Mary Trump, his niece, and despite what sounds like frantic legal efforts to stop her tell-all book, it is apparently due out next week. I wonder how juicy that will be. Based on this Mars cycle, Mars, the planet of hopping mad rage, would suggest that Donald isn't going to be happy to have this stuff discussed countrywide and worldwide as well. Unfortunately, for the time being, all that is known about Mary Trump's birth information is that she is 55 years old and was born in May of 1965. It is always best to have a birthday and a birth time, but in this case we have neither. So accepting the assessment of one major planetary pattern that is in play during all of May, the rest of my comments have to be either totally speculative or else in either-or format. It sounds like Mary is set to do some damage to Donald through the info in her book. This much is already known. If it weren't true, Trump would not be so keen to stop its release. If she is born in the first half of the month, her Mercury will be in his ninth of publications. And if during the second week, then in degrees that are especially problematic because it would square the Saturn-Venus conjunction in the 12th house. This would definitely increase the negative impact of the book. In relation to Trump's chart, the most telling pattern in May of 1965 is a cluster of planets in Virgo, Mars, Uranus, and Pluto, all opposite Saturn and all cutting across a vulnerable area of Trump's chart, one of his main money axes. Virgo, a house of his own money, Pisces, that of other people's money, as well as inheritances. In that sense, Mary's planets here are a perfect fit for the conflict he has had with her in regard to the inheritance distribution, since all of that falls under the 8th house. Also, the 8th house is a house of secrets, so we have to consider that as well. It is nearly impossible to figure out the moon, much less the ascendant and midheaven. We do know her Neptune will be in his Scorpio 4th house, which guarantees secrets he doesn't want revealed. And notice that Mars is the ruler of that house at his birth, and is now in an aggravating transit, going through the 9th of publishing. Finally, if she should be born closer to the end of the month, then the opposition from Mars to Saturn tightens. And the closer they are to each other, the more they would be squaring his Sun-Moon opposition. Whatever her actual chart turns out to be, I have a feeling the Commander-in-Mischief isn't going to like this one. It has the potential to make John Bolton's recent book seem like small potatoes. Nothing like world-class gossip to entrance the American public and drive the Orange Menace nuts. I suppose he can take heart in the fact at least we won't be talking about COVID as much, but it isn't quite the conversation you would want us to turn to.